The claws stopped a breath from Lieutenant Sarah Chen's throat. She could count the serrations on each talon, 6 inches of engineered death hovering at her carotid artery. The creature's breath smelled like copper and ozone, its 4 eyes fixed on her with predatory focus that bypassed reason and spoke directly to the prey animal hiding in her brainstem. "Don't breathe hard," whispered a small voice from behind the beast. "She reads fear through carbon dioxide patterns." Sarah froze her lungs mid-exhale. The creature's nostril slits flared, sampling her breath, and its haunches tensed for the killing strike. "I mean it," the voice said, sharper now. "Shallow breaths. Show her calm or show her nothing." The beast was crystalline and terrible, its body refracting the chamber's blue light into razor-edge rainbows. Its skeleton was visible through translucent flesh, bones that looked grown rather than evolved, geometric and perfect. Beautiful. Horrifying. Both at once. Sarah had walked through the palace checkpoint 17 minutes ago. Security had waved her through with bored efficiency. The coordinates in her diplomatic tablet had led her here, to this chamber that smelled like mineral caves and living electricity, where protocol said she should meet the trade delegation. Instead, she'd met this. "Who are you?" Sarah kept her voice level, her training kicking in despite her thundering heart. "Princess Lixia, 4th daughter of the Crystal Throne." A small figure stepped around the beast's flank, barely reaching Sarah's waist. Silver skin, eyes like liquid mercury, wearing robes stitched with circuit patterns that pulsed with faint light. A child. "You're the human negotiator?" "Yes. Lieutenant Sarah Chen, Earth Coalition. You were supposed to arrive at the Southern Pavilion. This is the Northern Sanctuary. My sanctuary." Lixia placed a 6-fingered hand on the beast's shoulder blade. The creature's muscles rippled but didn't relax. "Someone redirected you. Someone wanted you here, with Cass, with me. Someone wanted death." Sarah's mind cataloged exit routes by reflex. 2 doors, both behind the beast. Windows too narrow for human shoulders. No weapons cleared through security. Nothing but words and nerve. "Your creature hasn't killed me yet." "Why?" "Because I asked her not to." "But she doesn't understand why we're waiting." In her mind, you're an intruder in sacred space. She's been trained since hatching to kill anything that enters here without my permission. Can you call her off? I don't give her orders, Lieutenant. We share thoughts. I feel what she feels. Right now, she feels confused because you smell wrong, taste wrong in the air. You're not running. Prey runs. I'm not prey. Prove it to her, not me. She's the one deciding if you live. The creature's head tilted, studying Sarah from a new angle. Its intelligence was obvious in that gesture, in the way it measured her responses. This wasn't a guard animal. This was something more. Sarah had grown up in Vancouver's wildlife corridors, learning to read bears and cougars, understanding that predators respected confidence more than fear. She'd negotiated with warlords on Proxima Station who collected skulls, faced down pirate captains in the belt who wore human bone jewelry. Fear was data. Death was a probability. Neither controlled her. She met the beast's 4 eyes directly and spoke to it like she would to any intelligent being. "Hello, Kess. You're beautiful." The creature's claws retracted a fraction. Its head cocked further, confusion evident in the shift of its crystalline body. Lixia gasped. "That's impossible. She never responds to anyone but me. She understands intent," Sarah said, keeping her focus on Kess. "Maybe not words, but tone. Respect. Recognition." She slowly raised her hand, palm open, making herself vulnerable. "I've studied 37 species across Coalition space. The deadliest ones all share one trait. They know the difference between genuine regard and Manipulation? Kes leaned forward, her breath washing over Sarah's hand. Cold breath, tasting of minerals. Then, with deliberate gentleness, she pressed her massive head into Sarah's palm. The texture was like touching living glass, warm despite its crystalline appearance, vibrating with inner energy that made Sarah's fingers tingle. Lixia collapsed against the wall, and Sarah realized the princess was shaking. No one has ever touched her. She's killed 4 handlers and injured 11 others. My family wanted to execute her after the last incident. They say she's defective, dangerous, proof I'm unfit for any position of authority. I'm the only thing keeping her alive. Why does royalty keep creatures they want to kill? Tradition. Every royal child bonds with a guardian beast to prove our strength and our worthiness to rule. But Kes and I bonded too deeply. She won't tolerate anyone else's presence. She attacks on instinct when anyone enters my space. It's made me a political liability. Or a threat to someone. Lixia's mercury eyes focused sharply on Sarah. You understand quickly for an outsider. I understand that someone gave me coordinates leading to the one place in this palace where I'd almost certainly die. Either to sabotage Earth's alliance with your people, or to frame you for murdering a diplomat, or both. My brother Thex controls palace security. My sister Naira manages diplomatic protocols. My cousin Vosh commands the royal guard. Lixia stood straighter, suddenly, looking less like a frightened child and more like what she was born to be. All 3 would benefit from my disgrace or death. All 3 have the access to altered navigation data. What do you want to do about it? What I want is irrelevant. What we must do is survive the next hour. Lixia moved to the chamber's main door, checking the lock mechanism. Because whoever arranged this will have contingency plans. If you survive Kes, they'll need another way to ensure the right outcome. As if summoned by her words, the door's lock began cycling through security protocols. Someone was overriding it from outside. That's supposed to be impossible, Lixia said quietly. Only the Queen and her designated heir can override sanctuary locks. The door slid open. A figure stood in the entrance, tall and elegant, wearing commander's insignia on robes that seemed woven from starlight. Their skin was darker silver than Lixia's, their eyes harder. Cousin Vosh, Lixia said. How convenient. Princess. I received emergency alerts that an alien intruder had breached your sanctuary. I came immediately to protect you. Vosh's eyes fixed on Sarah with cold calculation. But I see the intruder still lives. And you stand between her and proper justice. Justice would require a trial. Evidence. Process. Justice requires protecting royal blood from alien threats. Vosh's hand moved to his weapon, an elegant piece of technology integrated into his palm. The human will be detained for unauthorized entry into sacred space. The beast that failed to protect you will be destroyed as defective. You will accept my protection and thank me for saving your life. Sarah watched Kes's body language shift, saw the creature's focus lock onto Vosh with predatory intensity that made her earlier aggression look gentle. Kes doesn't like you, Sarah observed. The beast is irrelevant. Stand aside, princess. No. Lixia's voice was quiet but absolute. Lieutenant Chen entered my sanctuary because someone altered her navigation. Kes didn't kill her because Lieutenant Chen showed proper respect, something no one in our family has managed. And you, dear cousin, just overrode sanctuary protocols that should be impossible to breach. You've revealed yourself. Vosh's expression shifted, calculation becoming something colder. Revealed myself as loyal to the throne and concerned for your safety. Your paranoia, however, reveals why you'll never hold real power. You see conspiracy in protection. I see conspiracy in the truth. Lixia straightened to her full height, still tiny but suddenly radiating authority. You arranged for Lieutenant Chen to enter my sanctuary. You expected Kes to kill her, giving you justification to destroy my beast and disgrace me while sabotaging our alliance with humanity. But your plan failed. So now you'll improvise. Wild accusations from an unstable princess and her broken beast. Who will believe you? The Queen will. Especially when I bring her a living human diplomat and testimony about navigation manipulation and protocol breaches. Vash's weapon charged with a sound like breaking glass. Unfortunately, the human intruder became violent when confronted. I was forced to use lethal force in defense of the princess. A tragedy for human-crystal relations, but unavoidable. You'll corroborate my account, cousin. Or you'll be remembered as the mad princess who conspired with aliens against her own family. Kes snarled, a sound that vibrated through Sarah's bones. I wouldn't, Sarah said quietly. Wouldn't what, human? Threaten a princess in front of her beast. Kes may not follow orders, but she understands intent. She knows when Lixia is in danger. Look at her. Vash glanced at the creature. Kes had gone absolutely still, the kind of stillness that preceded explosive violence. She's an animal. She's bonded to royalty. That bond goes both ways. Sarah kept her voice calm, conversational. On Earth, we have stories about guardian animals who sacrifice themselves for their bonded partners. I'm guessing your species has similar traditions, or you wouldn't have this bonding ritual in the first place. Lieutenant Chen is correct, Lixia said. Kes feels what I feel. Right now, I feel threatened, betrayed, afraid for my life. What do you think she's feeling, Vash? The beast's claws extended fully, scraping grooves in the stone floor. Vash's weapon tracked between Sarah and Lixia. Call off your beast or I'll kill it first, then both of you. The palace will mourn the tragedy. I'll accept promotion to her position. Everyone wins except you. Everyone except you, cousin. Lixia's voice carried through the chamber with unexpected power. Because I've been recording everything since you opened that door. Every word. Every threat. And my sanctuary's surveillance system transmits directly to the Queen's private chamber. She's watching this right now. Vash went very still. You're bluffing. Am I? Then, why is your tactical display showing incoming Royal Guard units? Look at your wrist screen, cousin. 3 units, approaching fast. The Queen's personal guard, the ones who answer only to her. Sarah watched Vash's eyes flicker to his embedded technology. Saw his expression crack just slightly. Saw him realize his trap had become his cage. This isn't over, Vash said. It is, actually. The voice came from everywhere and nowhere, resonating through the chamber's bones. Sarah's implant auto-translated it as the Queen herself, speaking through the sanctuary's communication system. Commander Vash, you are relieved of duty pending investigation. Remain where you are. My guard arrives momentarily. The door burst open. 6 figures in ceremonial armor flowed in, weapons drawn, surrounding Vash with professional efficiency. Their leader saluted Lixia with obvious respect. Princess, the Queen requests your presence, along with a human diplomat. Immediately. Lixia nodded, then looked at Sarah. My beast did not eat you, Lieutenant Chen. In my culture, that makes you marked by fate, protected by old law. What happens in the throne chamber next will determine both our futures. Then we'd better make it count, Sarah replied. They walked through corridors of impossible beauty, walls that seemed grown from single crystals, floors that chimed with musical notes under their feet. Kes moved beside them like living art, and Sarah noticed how everyone they passed stopped to stare. Not at her, the alien. At the princess and her beast, walking together with a human, heading toward the throne. They're afraid, Lixia murmured. They've never seen Kes accept anyone else's presence. It challenges everything they believe about me, about her, about the bond itself. Good, Sarah said. Fear keeps people honest. The throne chamber doors opened onto a space that defied architecture, vast and intimate at once, filled with floating platforms where courtiers observed in perfect silence. At the chamber's heart, the queen sat on a throne that looked carved from frozen starlight. She was magnificent in a way that transcended species, power, and intelligence radiating from her like gravity. Her eyes, darker silver than her daughter's, fixed on Sarah with focus that felt like being weighed by history itself. "Daughter," the queen said, her voice resonating through the chamber, "you bring an alien before me. You bring your beast into sacred court. You interrupt the day's proceedings with accusations against high-ranking family. Explain." Lixia stepped forward, and Sarah saw her fear transform into something harder, something royal. "Honored mother, I bring Lieutenant Sarah Chen because my beast did not eat her. Because someone manipulated diplomatic protocols to send her to her death in my sanctuary. Because Commander Vosh threatened both our lives when his plan failed. And because in one conversation, this human showed Kes more respect than any member of our family has managed in 3 years." The silence in the chamber was absolute. Sarah could hear her own heartbeat in her ears. "Your beast has killed 4 handlers," the queen said. "She attacks anyone who approaches you. She is considered defective, dangerous, beyond control." Yet this human touched her and lives. How? Because Lieutenant Chen treated her like an intelligent being worthy of respect, not a weapon to be wielded or a problem to be solved. She recognized Kes's magnificence instead of fearing her danger. And Kes responded to that recognition. The queen's eyes shifted to Sarah. "Human? Is this account accurate?" Sarah had briefed presidents and admirals. She testified before coalition councils. But under the queen's gaze, she felt every diplomatic nicety stripped away, leaving only truth. "Yes, your majesty. I entered the princess's sanctuary believing I was following proper diplomatic routing. I found myself facing a creature capable of killing me instantly. Princess Lixia's bond with that creature saved my life. And when I showed Kes respect instead of fear or aggression, she chose recognition over instinct. You showed respect to a predator seconds from ending your life. I showed respect to an intelligent being protecting what she loved. There's a difference." Something flickered in the queen's expression. "You understand our bond tradition. I understand that the most dangerous relationships are often the most valuable. That power without connection is just violence waiting to happen. That your daughter and her beast have something rare and precious, even if it looks threatening to people who don't understand it." The queen rose from her throne, descending to their level with movements that suggested controlled power. She circled Sarah slowly, studying her from every angle, then turned to examine Kes with equal intensity. "My daughter is correct. This is unprecedented. This changes calculations that have remained stable for generations." She turned to address the full court. "Commander Vosh attempted to murder both a royal heir and a foreign diplomat to advance his political position. Investigation will proceed with full transparency. But the greater matter is this: a human has achieved what we could not. She has earned the respect of a guardian beast beyond its bonded partner. This speaks to compatibility between our species. This suggests alliance may run deeper than trade negotiations." "Mother," Lixia began. "You have done well, daughter. You have survived conspiracy, protected our guest, and demonstrated that your bond with Kes grants insight others lack. But do not mistake political victory for safety. You have revealed which family members fear your strength. They will adapt their strategies." The queen's expression softened fractionally. "As will I. Now, that I understand what you and your beast truly represent. She turned back to Sarah. Lieutenant Chen, your survival has become evident in multiple investigations. You will remain under royal protection in the palace until these matters resolve. Your coalition will be informed of the situation and compensated for this disruption. Your Majesty, I appreciate the protection, but I have diplomatic obligations, which will be met. You will negotiate from the palace, with my daughter as your liaison and guide. Consider it an honor and an opportunity. Few outsiders are ever granted such access to the Crystal Throne's inner workings. Sarah glanced at Lixia, saw calculation in the young princess's mercury eyes. This was politics, not kindness. The queen was using Sarah's survival as leverage, turning crisis into advantage. I understand, Your Majesty. Thank you. Thank my daughter. And thank the beast who chose wisdom over instinct. The queen's voice rose to fill the chamber. Court is adjourned pending investigation. All family members will submit to testimony. No exceptions. Guards moved to escort them out, but the queen raised one hand, stopping them. She approached Kes directly, and Sarah saw every courtier lean forward in their floating platforms, saw Lixia tense. The queen extended her hand toward the beast. Kes growled, low and dangerous. Peace, the queen murmured. I mean no harm to you or yours. I simply wish to understand what the humans saw that we could not. Kes held absolutely still for 3 heartbeats. Then, slowly, she pressed her crystalline head into the queen's palm, the same gesture she'd given Sarah. The queen's expression transformed. Wonder. Recognition. Something that might have been sorrow. I see, she whispered. I see what we did wrong. We treated you as weapon and symbol, never as being in your own right. We forgot that intelligence demands respect, regardless of form. She looked at Lixia. Your beast is not defective, daughter. We were. Forgive us. Lixia's eyes widened. In that moment, Sarah understood she was witnessing something profound, something that transcended the immediate crisis. Mother, we will speak later, properly, about many things. For now, ensure Lieutenant Chen is comfortable. Begin your liaison duties. Learn from each other. This alliance may matter more than any of us realized. The queen withdrew, returning to her throne, and the court began to empty in careful, silent waves. Sarah, Lixia, and Kes were escorted to quarters that looked grown rather than built, all crystalline elegance and organic curves. That was unexpected, Sarah said when they were alone. That was political theater, Lixia replied, but her voice carried uncertainty. My mother never shows vulnerability in open court. Never admits fault. What she just did, acknowledging error in front of the full assembly, that's unprecedented. Maybe she meant it. Maybe. Or maybe she's consolidating power by appearing wise and merciful while destroying her enemies through investigation. Lixia sat heavily on a resting platform, suddenly looking very young. I can never tell with her. Love and manipulation blend together so perfectly in royal family dynamics. Kes laid down beside her, that massive crystalline head resting in Lixia's lap, and the princess's hand automatically moved to stroke the beast's flank. You love her, Sarah observed. She's the only one who doesn't lie to me. The only one whose thoughts I can read with certainty. The only one who wouldn't betray me for political advantage. Lixia looked up. Do humans bond with creatures similarly? Some do. We have companion animals, working partners, service beasts. The bonds vary, but the best ones are mutual respect and genuine affection. Then, perhaps we're not so different after all. Perhaps not. They sat in silence for a moment, two beings from different worlds, connected by the shared experience of nearly dying together and surviving through honesty instead of deception. Lieutenant Chen, Lixia said finally, my beast did not eat you. That makes you special in our culture, protected by old traditions. But it also makes you valuable. People will want to study you, test you, understand what you did that we could not. Some will approach with genuine curiosity. Others will see you as a tool to use against me or my family. I've dealt with complicated politics before. Not like this. Not in a court where family members arrange murders and call it strategy. Not in a culture where guardian beasts are raised from eggs to kill on instinct, where bonding rituals determine succession rights, where one wrong word can trigger investigations that destroy entire branches of the family tree. Then, teach me. I'm a fast learner. Lixia studied her with those mercury eyes, and Sarah saw calculation mixed with something that might have been hope. All right. Lesson 1. Trust no one completely. Not even me. Especially not me. I'm royal, which means I've been trained since hatching to manipulate, negotiate, and leverage every relationship for advantage. Noted. What's lesson 2? Lesson 2. Kess likes you. That's real. That matters. In a place where everything is performance and strategy, genuine connection is the rarest resource. Use it wisely. And lesson 3? Lixia smiled, and it was sharp enough to cut. Lesson 3. We're going to find out who really arranged this. Bosch was too obvious, too easy to catch. He's either the mastermind who got sloppy, or he's a convenient scapegoat for someone more careful. Either way, the game isn't over. It's just beginning. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine that had nothing to do with temperature. She'd come to negotiate trade agreements. Instead, she'd walked into palace intrigue that could reshape diplomatic relations between species. I should probably contact my superiors. You should. But be careful what you tell them. Your communications will be monitored by at least 3 different security services, possibly more. Palace protocol requires it for your protection, they'll say. Really, it's intelligence gathering. Every word you send home will be analyzed for advantage. Then, I'll keep it simple. Situation complex, progressing carefully, more information forthcoming. Perfect. Vague enough to prevent panic, specific enough to prevent rescue missions. Lixia stood, Kess rising smoothly beside her. Come. I'll show you quarters more appropriate for a protected guest. Tomorrow we begin proper liaison work. Tonight you rest and process everything that's happened. Will you be safe? Safer than before. My mother's public support grants me temporary immunity from overt moves. They'll plot and plan, but they can't touch me directly without looking like they're defying the Queen. Lixia paused at the door. Thank you, Lieutenant Chen, for not panicking, for respecting Kess, for surviving. You've given me something I haven't had in years. What's that? An ally who earned their position through actions rather than inheriting it through blood. Lixia's expression was complicated. Sleep well. Tomorrow will be challenging in entirely new ways. She left with Kess, and Sarah stood alone in chambers designed for crystal beings, tried to process the last few hours. She pulled up her diplomatic tablet, composed a message to Coalition Command that said everything and nothing, and sent it through channels she knew were compromised. Then she sat on the edge of the alien bed and allowed herself exactly 60 seconds of pure reaction. Fear, adrenaline crash, the shakes that came after near-death experiences. 60 seconds. Then she breathed deep, centered herself, and began planning for tomorrow. Because Lixia was right. This wasn't over. Someone had tried to kill her and frame the princess. That someone was still out there, still dangerous, still working toward goals Sarah didn't yet understand. But she'd survived first contact with a predator designed to kill intruders. She'd earned the respect of a creature that terrified trained handlers. She'd stood before an alien queen and spoken truth without flinching. If someone wanted to play games, Sarah Chin would play to win. She pulled up her tablet and began documenting everything, every detail, every conversation, building a record that could serve as evidence or insurance depending on what came next. Outside her window, the Crystal Palace glowed with bioluminescent light, beautiful and dangerous, a monument to a civilization that had conquered their world and reached for the stars. Somewhere in that palace, someone was planning their next move, adjusting strategy, preparing contingencies. Sarah smiled grimly and kept typing. Let them plan. She'd learned a long time ago that the best defense was perfect documentation and the willingness to burn everything down if necessary. Tomorrow she'd negotiate. She'd learn palace politics. She'd navigate diplomatic complexities. But tonight, she was simply a human who'd touched an alien predator and lived. Who'd looked into crystalline eyes and seen recognition instead of hunger. Who'd earned respect through genuine regard instead of manipulation or fear. In a place built on lies and strategies, that truth was a weapon sharper than any blade. Sarah saved her documentation, encrypted it with coalition-grade security, and set it to auto-transmit if she missed her scheduled check-ins. Then, she lay down on the alien bed and closed her eyes, listening to the palace hum around her, feeling the weight of tomorrow's challenges already pressing down. But beneath the worry and calculation, she felt something else. Satisfaction, pride, the knowledge that she'd survived something impossible and turned it into opportunity. My beast did not eat you, Lixia had whispered. No, the beast had not eaten her. And that simple fact had changed everything, opened doors, created possibilities that didn't exist before this day. Sarah drifted towards sleep with a smile on her face, thinking about crystalline creatures and silver-skinned princesses and queens who could admit fault in open court. Thinking about how humanity's greatest strength had always been the ability to see worth in unexpected places, to offer respect where others saw only danger, to build bridges where others burned them. Tomorrow would bring challenges. But tonight, Sarah Chin had achieved something rare and valuable. She'd made an alliance built on truth instead of necessity. She'd earned trust through action instead of inheriting it through protocol. And somewhere in this crystal palace, people who'd planned her death were realizing their mistake. They'd thought sending her to her death would solve their problems. Instead, they'd given humanity a foothold in the heart of alien royalty. And they'd given Sarah Chin a reason to fight. She fell asleep smiling, dreaming of crystalline beasts and mercury-eyed princesses and the strange, complicated dance of diplomacy conducted at the knife's edge between death and alliance. Tomorrow would tell whether she'd walked into opportunity or disaster. But tonight, she'd survived. And in the game of palace intrigue, survival was the first and most important victory. Everything else would follow.